Oh, hello. Today we are doing some unhaulage. This is supposed to be my summer unhaul, but considering we are now in fall as of a couple days ago, I realized probably if I want to do a summer unhaul, we got to do it now. So I am going to start with throwing you back to the past for a clip of me doing an unhaul earlier in the summer, and then we will talk about the things that I'm unhauling that I identified for an unhaul later in the summer. So, throwing you back to the past. Okay, coming at you from the past, I do have a bag's worth that I'm taking to the used bookstore, but I think by the time I post this, I probably will have more to share. So, I am unhauling what I currently have with the expectation that there will probably be more by the time this goes up. Okay, I'm just gonna run down the bag as I see it. So first of all, a book that I have read, and it went on sale as an ebook the other day, and that is The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. And I saw that and I took a moment and realized, like, yeah, I wouldn't say that this is enough of a favorite that I feel like I need to hold on to it, and I already don't have the complete series in hardback. So I'm okay with letting this go because it's not like breaking up an otherwise complete series. So I've read this, I enjoyed it. I think I gave this a 3.5 or a 4 star, but I'm gonna unhaul it. Then 2 keto related books. The reason I'm getting rid of these is just because I have an autoimmune disease that requires different dietary things than pre-diagnosis, and I just don't need to feel pressure to try to eat in a way that I no longer can. So for that reason, I'm getting rid of Fat Chance and Pure White and Deadly. Nothing against either of these, and actually I miss keto a lot, but these are making me miss that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move these along. Oh, one that I just had a realization when I was looking the other day at my shelves of like, yeah, you just don't really want to read that anymore, so it's time to say goodbye. And that is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King. At the time it sounded good to me, I was intrigued. It just doesn't really appeal to me anymore, and it's big and chunky, so I'm just gonna say goodbye. There's other things I would rather read. I feel a little bad for this, but it's in the past. You can't change it. Let's just move on. Okay, and then 2 that I read as a part of my cats picking my TBR. I gave this a 3 star. I gave actually both of these a 3 star. Both of these were fine, and I think fine for what they are, but I just don't feel the need to hold on to them. I did like In a Dark, Dark Wood better than I liked The Heroine Complex. This one, I think just trope-wise wasn't my favorite. Actually, kind of true for both of these. Just not my favorite tropes, but pretty good versions of what they are. This is a thriller set in the wood at a bachelorette party, and this is a speculative romance that involves superheroes. So there you go. Oh, and then 3 C.S. Lewis things. So another one that I converted to an ebook, Reflections on the Psalms. So I'm passing this along. And then I just realized that I don't feel the same need to like hoard biographies of him anymore. So I decided to let go of 2 kind of biographically related works. One is Yours, Jack, and this is, I believe, correspondence like that was related to his spiritual direction, but I have his complete letters, so I don't really need this, I don't think. Just a biography from Alistair McGrath. I just don't feel the need to hold on to this. Repetitious, but time to say goodbye. So those are the ones that are going with the group of them that I unhauled in the spring. I haven't gotten around to going to the used bookstore from the spring, so we are now in the middle of summer. So this is like my mid-summer addition to that. And then I'm hoping by the time I post this unhaul, I will have some more that I have decided I can let go of and send along their way to the used bookstore. And welcome back to the year of our Lord 2021 in the month of September. So let us talk about the things that I am going to unhaul. Good news is pretty much all of these I have already read, so that is an exciting day for us all. At least for me, because then I don't have to feel guilty that I am getting rid of books that I haven't yet read. So first, I did want to mention a couple of ARCs that I am going to be giving away for free. And I think I'm gonna drop these off in the McKay's box. Maybe I'll put them in the little free library, we'll see. But I tried to not unhaul ARCs until it has been at least 6 to 9 months since they were published, and both of these I think have now crossed that threshold. So Every Last Fear by Alex Fenley is one that I really enjoyed. I actually got a hardback copy, which is why I am unhauling my paperback ARC, and I just really, really love this book. It is not gonna be a book for everyone, but it is one of the most like page-turnery kind of thrillers that I have read in a while, and and it was just a nice feeling to just be totally sucked into a book like this and just like fly through it. So yeah, I am going to pass this along though, because it's been 6 months, I believe, since its publication, so I'm gonna put my ARC out there. And then this one, Prodigal Son by Greg Hurwitz, this was not one I requested, and because it's not the first in a series, I just don't think this is one I'm gonna get to, but this came out, I believe, in January, yes, January 26th, so I feel like I can pass it along. I've actually heard good things about the series, but I don't have any imminent plans to get to that series, so I don't feel like it's one I particularly need to hold on to. So anyway, I will be dropping these off either at my used bookstore's little free box, O-Books, where people can grab them for free, or taking them to the little free library, whichever comes first. Okay, and then let's run through this other pile. These are all books that I've read all of the ones we're gonna talk about. They are either ones that I have read and just feel like I don't need any copy, I've read but I've converted my physical copy to an ebook copy, or I've read but I am changing from one physical copy to a different edition of the physical copy. So first one is kind of a combination of two of those things, which is Pride and Passion by Nora Roberts. This is a bind up of Search for Love and Irish Thoroughbred. I did not like Search for Love very much. I actually may have an ebook version of this, I don't remember, but I definitely did enjoy Irish Thoroughbred, and I have a nice hardback edition that Bethany gave me as a gift, so I can get rid of this bind up. Next, actually, well, I'll do two of these, actually 3 of these in a row that I'm getting rid of when I was doing a bookshelf changeover. So I replaced the bookshelf that is over off camera to this side with a new one, and in the course of whenever I get a new bookshelf or change bookshelves, I always do somewhat of an unhaul in terms of like, hey, now that I'm taking each of these books off the shelf and looking at them, is this still a book I want? And so when I was moving some things around, I identified 3 books that felt like they could just kind of go, that I didn't really feel like I needed anymore. So the first is The Rise of Christianity by Rodney Stark, how the obscure marginal Jesus movement became the dominant religious force in the Western world in a few centuries. This is like historical nonfiction, making an argument of why it was that Christianity was such a successful religious sect that ended up becoming a major world religion. There are some very interesting arguments in here, but I actually have a copy of the most important chapters in a spiral bind up from grad school. There are some interesting thoughts in here about particularly Christianity, early Christianity's very positive treatment of women relative to its overall culture, how that was a huge part of its success. So that is interesting, as well as its treatment of the sick during plague times. Oh, the sweet irony now I'm saying those 2 things out loud relative to America, at least in 2021. But anyway, this is an interesting argument, but I just don't think I need a copy of this anymore. I was looking at it and I was like, I just don't think I need this. So I'm gonna unhaul that so that hopefully someone else can enjoy it, along with all my notation in there. Then I have The Gospel of Ruth by Carolyn Custis James. So Carolyn Custis James was actually quite important in my overall deconstruction journey out of fundamentalism, just because she was a woman doing theology, and just that felt like a revolutionary act. So I appreciate what this book represents, but I have other of her books that I like better that I'm holding on to, and this is not one that I specifically like have a huge attachment to, other than just like her in general. So I decided this one could go. And then I am unhauling Dear IJEAWELE, or A Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions, just because I don't think that this book is doing anything special enough to warrant me holding onto it relative to other factors at play. So I think this can go. I have other books that are basically saying pretty similar things, and I'd rather hold on to them. Okay, and then one that is an example of getting an ebook edition, and therefore this one can go, and that is God in the Dock by C.S. Lewis. This is a collection of essays from C.S. Lewis. I once was very focused on having all of his stuff in physical form, and I just am not anymore. And so whenever there's an edition of one of his books that I have in physical form that I can get as an ebook, on the off chance that I want to reference them at some point in the future, that is what I tend to do. So I converted this to an ebook, which I feel good about. The rest of these are books that I've read and liked to varying degrees, but do not feel the need to hold on to in physical form at all, or just like in my library in general. I don't feel the need to continue to own them. One of these books I can say I definitely did not like, I guess 2 of them, but the rest of them are fine. I just don't feel like I need to, I don't see a world where I personally am going to reference them a lot on this channel. I don't see them as ones that I ever have a plan to reread. Therefore, I think I can just kind of put them back out into circulation. So first is a book that I read for a vlog that just went up this week, which was me reading Jean Bookish Thoughts recommendations from a TikTok video she did. I really enjoyed making that video. It was a very fun vlog for me, and I got 4 books. Of them, only this one I'm unhauling. This is actually a pretty solid book, but I just don't think it's very memorable. It's historical fiction about basically this family of women who are kind of outcast from their community in, I believe, 1600s Lancashire, and they are suspected of being witches, and it's sort of just like a story of this magistrate coming back to town to do another round of witch hunting. The oldest daughter is like having a forbidden romance. It's pretty solid. Like, the writing I think is really nice. It's just not that memorable, and I know I'm not gonna reread it, and I know it's the kind of book I just will not remember anything about in a year. So for that reason, I just think it can go. Then we have The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, which was a pick for our Blades and Bodice Ripper book club for August. And if you want to see our discussion, that is over on Bethany's channel. I think we had a good discussion about this. I didn't hate this, but I also didn't love it. And I definitely had problems with it in terms of, I think the machinations, the political machinations were not machination-y enough for my taste. And I liked the world building and I liked the themes, but I didn't feel like the characters were fully developed. This is a debut, and I just think you can kind of feel that in some places. So I don't see this as one I'm gonna reference, recommend, or reread, and therefore I think it can go along. But if you're interested in this, it is basically kind of a ye fantasy version of France and Algeria, and kind of imagining war / conflict between them, featuring like a child soldier from ye fantasy version of Algeria and their complicated feelings about colonization. So if that sounds interesting to you, possibly this would be a good one for you to pick up. It is sapphic, so that's also cool. Yeah, anyway, fine, just not something I need to hold on to. I would say the same thing about The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. So I actually haven't talked about this yet on the channel as of this filming, but I have this as a 5-star prediction, and it was definitely not 5 stars. I would give this 3.5 because I really liked the story as a whole, like the plot I was into. There were moments of suspensefulness or thrilleriness that I enjoyed, but this has a POV detective, which I actually quite like, and I wish we got more of. Like, I don't know. I feel like BookTube is very anti-POV detective in mystery thriller, and I like POV detectives, so I was for that. But this is a type of POV detective I don't love, which is like the world-weary / like emotionally broken POV detective. So I wasn't loving that, and also this was written in the present tense, which is just always a struggle for me in this kind of book with writing. Like, I don't know, it just bugged me. So I think that this is not like the most inventive plot, but it's set at this hotel that was converted from this creepy sanatorium in the Swiss Alps. So I just love that as a setting. And the plot is not particularly innovative, but it is a crowd, like, it's my tropes. It's the kind of tropes I like. So I was down with that. There's some like family intrigue, and this is the first in a series. So all of this to say, I don't know that I loved this. I didn't hate it. And I think it's worth trying if this is the kind of book you like, because it's the first in a series. And so maybe this is the beginning of a series that you would really enjoy. For me, it was fine, not particularly memorable, and therefore not something I really need to hold on to. And then 2 books I did not enjoy as much. Well, okay, Small Town Dreams, there's 2, this is another Nora Roberts bind-up. First Impressions, I did enjoy. It's a category romance from '84, as is Less of a Stranger, which I did not enjoy. So this had one book that I liked pretty well and one that I did not like at all, and it's a mass market, so for those reasons I feel like this can go. So I'm unhauling this. And then the last thing I'm unhauling, and one that I did not really like, was 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I did not like the writing. It's kind of an isolated close circle mystery, but not enough of one. I didn't really connect with the characters, and I think that this is meant to be pretty character driven. So if what you're supposed to be reading for is the characters and you're not really connecting with them, that just gets a little dicey. So I went ahead and I'd had this on my TBR, but I was reminded to pick it up because there's been this big Hulu adaptation. So I was like, oh, maybe I want to watch that. Let me read the book to see if it's the kind of thing I want to watch. I may still watch the Hulu adaptation, at least one episode, just out of curiosity, but the book was not it for me. Though I did hear from very vociferous Leanne Moriarty fans that this is not her best work, so to try to not judge her as a whole just based on this book. So take that under advisement. Apparently she has much better stuff out there, but this one in particular, it was my first one that I've read from her, and it definitely did not entice me to continue, but perhaps there will be another title from her in the future that would entice me to pick her up and give her another try. And with that, I think that does it for my summer unhaul. I have a nice big bag to take to McKay's here, I think probably next weekend. So I will look forward to, you know, clearing out space on my physical shelves and my mental shelves, because I feel like by having books kind of cycle through my collection, it helps me feel like, you know, I'm keeping what I want to keep and I am passing along things that don't have a purpose in my life anymore, but somebody else may enjoy. So that feels good. But yeah, that is it for my unhaul. Let me know what you thought of any of the books that I mentioned today. If you particularly have, you know, strong feelings about any of them, let me know that in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!